Time to talk about the next two episodes of Star Trek Trash Fire. So I sat down, watched the next two episodes. I'm not doing every episode because it just gets to be more of the same. I keep hoping that they'll come up with something new or interesting or maybe actually make me in some ways laugh once at all. No? Not doing it? Okay. So the first episode that they had is this Much Ado About Boimler episode, which so we have this thing where Indy builds a dog that's really not a dog. It turns into all kinds of creatures, does weird things, whatever. Then we have in there a Jellicoe reference because there's a guest captain coming in, and Jellicoe was one of the guest captains that they had on the Enterprise and Next Generation. Okay, continually throwing in these references to older Star Trek just doesn't fit. They'll be walking down the hall, doing absolutely nothing. The episode isn't even about, anything else, and they'll go, "Oh, I hope we don't run into that con guy. Kirk had such a horrible time with him." Like, what? You have nothing. You have no better dialogue. You can't make up anything else. You can't figure out anything else. You just got to throw this stuff in over and over and over again. It's about 25% of the episode is just them doing that. It's like, trust me, no one is going back and going, "Oh, that sounds interesting. I'm going to go back and watch every old episode just so I can find out what that reference was." No, you're not. If anything, you might do a 3-second Google search and go, "Oh, that was dumb." So Rutherford runs Boimler through this transporter thing, and he gets all blue phasey like this here in this picture on the front of the episode. The visiting captain, of course, is complete total friends with Beckett Mariner, and they go, and oddly enough, maybe not oddly enough, every single time they come across a captain who's competent, it's a woman, and all the captains who are not are men. Over and over again. This is a theme throughout this whole thing. Then they bring over this thing called Division 14, which is some medical thing to help fix Boimler, which is they put him on a ship with a bunch of other mutilated, disfigured kind of people, and there's the wheelchair, a guy in a wheelchair like this from The Cage. Again, more nostalgia. Let's throw this in just for fun, just because someone's going to go, "Oh, I wonder what that wheelchair is. I'm going to go spend the next 12 hours watching the rest of Star Trek just to be able to." No, they're not doing that. No one's doing that. Trust me, nobody's doing that. Okay, so Mariner is continually, while she's with this other new guest captain, she's screwing up, doing things wrong because you're thinking like, wait, this doesn't follow the theme of the show. Mariner cannot be bad. Mariner is perfect. Mariner cannot do anything wrong. Well, turns out later on we find out Mariner didn't want to be transferred away from the Cerritos, so she was screwing up on purpose. And she's really not a screw up. Oh, that's right. So she can screw up on purpose because it's her master plan, but not because she's inept in any way at all, because that just cannot happen in this universe. So they meet up with this other ship, the Rubido, which is also, like Cerritos, another city in California. These people have kind of an obsession with cities and places in California. Most cities of which are now, at this point in time, many cities in California are emptying out because people are, mass exodus from this place, which we will be doing next year. We're exiting California also. So nobody wants to be here. So the other side, there's two different kind of episodes going in this one. I mean, they've got a full 22 minutes to fill. Oh my gosh, we can't have any actual content without at least 8 minutes of that being, let's rehash characters and things from past, episodes of Star Trek. So you still have, about 16, 14, 16 minutes to fill. And they really can't do it very well. So Boimler and his group with the Division 14 people end up on this planet that lets everybody heal and that, gets everybody fixed. And then in the end, the Rubido ship has some creature that's in it that's kind of growing into the ship and taking over the ship, and then they all get beamed off at the last second, and they use Rutherford's transporter technology that he was working on, so everybody becomes phased. Okay, fine, whatever, that was pointless. But then the creature that comes out of it at the end kind of looks like these creatures from Encounter at Farpoint. So of course everybody who has no idea what Star Trek is going to go back and look all that up. No, they're not. Okay, then that's the end of the episode. Then we're done. Then we go to this episode called Veritas, which immediately you're met with in this gigantic room that looks exactly like one of the Klingon courtroom from Undiscovered Country. Everything going on is the same. All that, think they're putting them into this courtroom. They start doing these flashbacks, and the flashbacks get overly tedious. And the worst one is Rutherford, where his little eyepiece keeps rebooting or whatever it is, and he keeps dropping into so they have everybody gets their own one flashback, but then he gets 4 flashbacks because he keeps jumping from situation to situation. And during this whole time, then they think it's this court thing and they're going to be, executed or whatever. And the end of it turns out this guy who they saved from the Romulans through this whole thing is actually, this is his party or something, his celebration that he, did, and it's some kind of holodeck thing where he's rented it for so long and just has them trapped in there for a little bit, and then they all go, oh, okay, I guess that's fine, and then they all leave. So again, no humor, again, pointless, and continue, flashback things and callbacks to all things in the older Star Trek episodes. It can't create any fluent episode that has a character that it starts at the beginning episode and then runs it through some type of situation where you find out your flaws and that you have to face your flaws and then be able to, confront that in the end. There's no a character growth of any kind. It's not even slapstick. There's no comedy in it. I mean, I noticed that here in IMDb, they do no longer, I think it used to say comedy, but now it just says animation, action, adventure. But it was portrayed and advertised as a comedy. Now, probably the worst thing in this Veritas episode is that they take and completely mock the Q character. So we do have John Delancey coming in as a voice, doing a Q character, and all they do is a flashback of him doing, Q things for 30 seconds, saying, oh, this happens sometimes, and then they flash back and it's Q going, hey, I'm Q, and sends him into a chessboard and stuff, and then they exit that, and then they go back to the regular scene. And then at the very, very, very end, right just before the credits, they have Q show up again, and they just go, we don't have time for you, and then walk off and leave no respect or nothing towards the Q character. They completely wasted that cameo. They could have actually done a whole entire episode with Q, with what he can do. I mean, you're not limited to regular practical effects or things like special effects, things like you would in a live action episode. This is an animated episode. You could have done anything. You could have had an entire episode with Q giving respect to the character, but they didn't. They basically just dumped on him and made a joke out of him. And that's really all this seems to be about, is find things from the old episodes and old shows, and let's make a joke about it. Like the Klingon courtroom scene. That was a huge scene from, one of the major movies that, the original series did, the cast did. I mean, huge. And here we put it in this episode and we make it a mockery. We just continue to mock it. And seeing, some of the other videos out there about the current ratings of, Star Trek Discovery, nobody's watching this stuff. Nobody wants to watch this stuff. And I don't recommend that anyone watch Star Trek anymore. I mean, I watched Star Trek for, almost 4 decades of my life, and been a huge part of my life. And now to get this stuff that they're putting out now, I just can't. I can't anymore. I just can't. It's horrible. All right, well, that's kind of my review of episode 7 and episode 8. Only 2 more episodes to go. And once those are done, then we can take a big, huge break from Star Trek and not even think about it anymore until they start putting out more garbage again and again and again. I seriously wonder how long they're going to be able to do it for, as Hollywood continues to melt down with, the antics of, Alyssa Milano and her Call the Police and all that. Just don't know how long that's going to go on. Maybe it will affect Star Trek. Maybe they'll get their act together and decide, wow, we need to get some intellectual. I mean, I'm wearing this shirt here right now it's from a show, Pinky and the Brain. Highly intellectual humor. Humor for people who really get it. What are we going to do tonight, Brain? Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try and take over the world. Amazing show. Funny show. Hilarious show. No identity politics required. It's 2 lab mice. Right? And it's hilarious. You could have done so much with this Star Trek stuff, but no, you don't. You let it die, and it's going to die. And I think maybe it needs to die so that somebody else can buy it and resurrect it in a good, meaningful way for the true fans of Star Trek. All right, well, thanks for watching this, and like, share, subscribe, all those things. Been getting a lot of subscriptions lately, and I thank everybody for that. Up to over 700 now, on my way to 1,000 and being able to monetize my channel. Thank you, everyone, for doing that, and take care, everybody.